Toastmasters. Yes, very happy to have you here this evening. Tonight we're going to be talking about giving effective feedback. We're going to break this up actually into two different types of feedback. First, we're going to give negative feedback so that we can get an idea of what feedback is like on the negative side. And then we're going to work with positive feedback, which would be our effective feedback on the opposite side. So we have a young assistant executive who's been given the task of preparing a proposal, a PowerPoint presentation, and then also doing a 20-minute public presentation with the proposal and the PowerPoint. Her name is Sally. I'm her supervisor. She's been given this task and she hasn't done much work toward this yet so far. We're about to have our first meeting. Sally enters and we are go. I'm looking at the proposal here that you put together, and so far it's inundated with tons of information that we don't even need. I don't really know what I'm looking at. It looks like you're writing a book here. Already it's 25 pages and I see about a quarter of the information. It looks like the report that we're going to be presenting to the client is going to probably be about 100 pages or so. That's going to be far too much information. I'm not really sure exactly what you're writing, and it's really not clear to me. Now, let's take a step back and look at this. I'm her supervisor, and I've come at her straight away with things that are already negative. There's something really positive coming out of me. I'm not communicating anything that's uplifting. I'm not telling her she's doing a good job. I'm not telling her anything that is making her feel good about the work that she's already done. In essence, I'm putting her back on her heels in a way. And she is reeling at this point to probably pull forward and stand her ground and feel confident and composed. Now let's move to the presentation portion. Well, I'm taking a look at your PowerPoint here, and I don't really understand what's going on with the PowerPoint. The graphic design, and I know you don't work with graphics, but the graphic design is way off. And this is just a PowerPoint. And not only that, but the font doesn't seem to really kind of match with anything either. It really seems discombobulated. Along with that, as we go through each little PowerPoint section here, I'm looking at the bullet points that you've written up, and just like your proposal, it's far too inundated. There's so much information here, you could never effectively go through it all. And some of the information, it almost seems pointless, and it's technical. You need to remove it and completely omit it. That does not work. Would you think about this if a client was reviewing this? What are they thinking? Now let's take a moment. We'll step back again. We've moved from a stage of we're in the meeting, we've reviewed the proposal. I've given her nothing but negative feedback, and then we moved into the presentation portion on the PowerPoint. We're talking about the graphics, we're talking about a number of different things, and I, as her supervisor, don't like any of it. I haven't given her any thoughts for change or ways that she could go about making improvements, or really mentioning the fact, kind of in a negative light, that I know you don't work with graphics, doesn't really work. How do you think she feels at this point? She probably feels even a little more defeated. And in my scenario where she's pushed back on her heels a little bit from the very first part, talking about the proposal, and she's reeling, probably trying to just pull herself forward, she's now probably stepped back a little bit and is even a little bit more defeated. She's not feeling any support from her superior. This, even with my tonality, doesn't sound right or proper. And unfortunately, this happens every day in business. To scene 3. We move along and we're talking about the public presentation that she's going to be doing with this report, this proposal in front of the client, which is going to consist of 20 to 25 people in a boardroom. She doesn't do public presentations very often. And she doesn't do them in front of 25 clients. She does them sometimes in front of maybe 3, 4, or 5 people in a staff meeting. So this is completely out of her element. I say as the supervisor, go ahead, give me a 5-minute spiel on what you're going to talk about. She gives me her 5 minutes. She's nervous. She's a little intimidated. She's not only back at her heels, but she's one step back already. A little bit nervous. She's shaking a little bit. None of it really has any fluid flow to it. She's trying to do her best. She's fidgety. And that's all I talk about after she's done. Well, I noticed you were fidgety. You're moving your hands a lot. Didn't really seem like you were connected to the material. The material on the board, just like the PowerPoint, doesn't really line up. The extensive work that you've already done on the proposal is way too inundated. The client is not going to be able to follow this within 20 minutes. It's not really going to work for them. What they need is they need the exact points. And you have not done a good job at that. Not only were you just standing there, but you kept looking back and turning away from the client the whole time. So as to look at the PowerPoint presentation, they need to see your face. Don't you know that? Moment for pause. Let's reflect back on this for a moment. She is not used to giving these types of presentations. We're talking in front of groups. And I've done nothing but give her bad marks, told her everything she was doing wrong, everything that I didn't like. I didn't give her any bit of confidence or lift her up at all. And again, this is something that happens every day. And it might not be quite this bad, but it is sometimes this serious. And notice my voice is what I'm talking about. It's more this serious coming from a superior at times. And I'm not sure that they're fully aware of it. Now let's change the scene. Now we're going to begin, and our meeting starts right now, and we're going to look at effective feedback from a positive standpoint. Sally, this is an awesome job. You are doing such a fantastic job, and that is exactly why I put you on this task. Let me tell you that the 25 pages you've already written, I can tell you dug in deep. Not only have you dug in deep, you've done far more than I expected, and you are definitely exceeding the task. Now, I don't know if we need all 25 pages because it looks like it's probably going to go into about 100 pages or so. What we really want to do is we want to skim it down, and we want to extract the technical points and put those off to the side and leave that to the technical team that will work with them later to implement the software that we're going to be selling them. We just want to hit them with the PowerPoints that are going to make their business run more effectively. Does that kind of make sense? So what I would do is I'm going to go through this and I'm going to highlight the things that you can just remove out of there, and that way you'll get a kind of flow for it, and it'll allow you to put together a proposal or report for the client that's going to consist of maybe about 25 to 30 pages. That's probably our target aim overall. So I know you're doing a great job at this. Just kind of, we're going to skim it back just a little bit, and you can work with that and kind of move forward. Now looking at your PowerPoint, I know you don't do PowerPoint presentations very often. No problem. Lots of good stuff you can do in there. It's very quick, it's very easy, it's very effective. Now, I would do this. I would maybe change the font a little bit just so it matches. And I'm going to give you a hint. I've been emailing back and forth with the president, and he happens to use this particular font. So I'm going to forward you that font, and let's go ahead and match it up. That way it's going to feel more personalized to the president, the client that we're working with. And I also think that we can use their colors. What do you think about that? So we're going to use the colors of their company to outline the PowerPoint presentation. Now, along with that, thinking about the proposal, some of the information that you have in here is excellent, but we can omit portions of that so that it's more powerful for them when they're looking up on the screen. Okay? Now let's take a moment to recap for a second. First, we talked about the proposal. I came out positive. I uplifted her. I told her she was doing a great job, and that's exactly why I gave it to her, because she does such a good job. She kind of goes over the top. So she's uplifted. And if she's uplifted, she's probably going to perform even better. What do I want from her? What does the supervisor want? What does the company want? Well, the company wants to perform well. And a person can't perform well if you're pushing them down or holding them down the entire time. They need to be lifted up and empowered to do more. And I did the same thing with the PowerPoint. We went through the PowerPoint presentation. I said, what? I know you don't work with PowerPoints with a smiley face. Very happy. It's no problem. Just make some changes, show you some fonts. So I gave her some tricks and some tips and things that she can do to make it better. Now we'll go into the presentation portion. I know you're nervous. No problem. I know you're not used to giving these type of presentations in front of clients in groups of 25 or more. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get all the staff members, we're going to set up pieces of paper, and we're going to stage this exactly as though you're going to give your full presentation. And that way it's going to give you a little bit more practice with everybody in the room. In addition, we're going to have everybody in the boardroom write down one thing that they think you can add to improve your message or speech. And then I'm going to be the gatekeeper. All that information is going to come to me, and I'm going to throw out everything that's negative or anything that could possibly put you down. And then we'll work on designing your perfect pitch. And then from there, I will put it together and do a live presentation that you will be able to view and take notes the entire time. And then after that, you're going to set up your laptop. You're going to have it all dry run while you're doing the PowerPoint behind you, and you're going to practice in the conference room by yourself until you feel confident. Now, a couple other things about the presentation. You don't want to stand in front of the screen. Okay? This is a stand presentation. You don't need to move a lot for this one. This isn't what we're here for. It's going to be short, concise, and sweet and to the point. And as you're going through, the majority of them are going to be looking up to the PowerPoint, and then they're going to be looking back to you. Smile. Hold your hands down. It's confident. You don't have to move too much. Come back to a class. Move forward with your hands like this, but don't point too much. Those are some things that I might suggest. And if you feel like you need to move, just step back a little and step forward a little. Just a little sway in your step so that it feels like it's an ebb and flow with the conversation. Now let's look at this as a whole. In the very beginning, we talked to Sally, or I as a supervisor talked to Sally, and I gave her very critical feedback. There wasn't anything positive about it. My tone wasn't good. My facial features weren't good. I was more demanding than anything. I sound like a little bit of a barking dog, although I don't know if I have that deep of a voice, but you get what I'm saying. And nothing that she could take away from that when she walks back to her desk, when she does a takeaway and goes back to her office to try to construct what I want because I was so demanding. How is she going to do that? She's not going to be able to. She's going to sit there and she's probably going to twiddle her thumbs and be like, I don't know what this guy wants. I have no idea. It sounds like everything I've done so far, he just hates. She's not going to perform very well at all. Will the presentation she's going to give to the client reflect that? I believe it probably will. Now on the other side, I've given her many positive accolades about the work that she's done. I've been uplifting, I've been empowering, I've smiled, I've talked, I've laughed, we've had a personal communication. I've been more sincere. I've appreciated her and her work overall. Not only that, at the very end, where she's most nervous and most uncomfortable, I told her we were going to give her many tools to make her presentation outstanding. We're going to stage it. I'm going to go through it with you. I'm going to filter all the negative out, and I'm going to build you an excellent presentation. And then we're going to give you the room to work with so that you can do your best work. This is your moment. There are many ways to give feedback. We give them in work, we receive them at work. We give them in our daily lives with our family and our friends. Children, give them to other children. 8th graders to 6th graders, 5th graders to 1st graders, high school, college. And every time we communicate with people, we have an opportunity to lift them up. or to even speak on something that Hemi mentioned in the attitude checkbook, praise, because sometimes people's tanks are low. So we need to fill them back up, make them feel positive. There's many ways to do it. I believe the empowering way and making them feel good about themselves and giving them positive, constructive feedback is what will turn everybody's result, if you will, for the company, for them, out to an outstanding job. Ms. Toastmaster.
That was certainly a cornucopia of information, of positive activity.